Okay, the recording has been started. Today we have discussed about where variable arguments method, right? So it was completed, and we have also seen where we have seen some cases. Just remember these three cases, that would be enough. What are the valid case and what are the invalid cases, right? Okay, and that's it about the variable arguments. And today the topic is about the instance context in Java. Okay, this is also a very important topic to develop any Java application because we are going to deal with a lot of data, isn't it? So this is also very important to understand. So let us, before understanding what is an instance context, we will understand the types of instance context. Okay, the instance context, okay, in Java is categorized into three types. So what are the first type is you have something like instance variables, which we know already. We just know what is an instance variables, but we don't know how the memory is getting allocated and the preference of the control. Okay, we'll understand that. First, we will understand about what is instance variables. Second one, we will understand about what is an instance methods, and we have something like what is instance blocks. These are instance blocks. So we will discuss one by one instance blocks. So after completing this, it is like you will become expert in the instance blocks. First one, what is an instance variable? Before even understanding about this instance variable, I will tell you something. Always remember, you will be dealing with a lot of variables in Java, right? So the variables can be declared outside the class. For example, we have a class A, okay? So you would declare a variable inside the class, integer A equal to 100. So this kind of variable is called as what? Instance variable. And why it is called as an instance variable? So when a variable is declared inside the class, but it is not part of any other block. It is just inside the class, but you are not placing it in a method, or you are not placing it in a constructor, or you are not placing it in a block, in an ordinary block. Okay, in an ordinary block. Okay, it is free from all this methods, variables, and method block, ordinary block, and the constructor block. So you place it inside a class, but outside the blocks, you call it as what? You call it as the instance variable, right? And you are not supposed to use the static keyword, right? So when you call a variable as instance variable, right, you are not supposed to use what? It should be a non-static variable, first of all. Non-static variable, the first thing. Second thing is, you have to declare the variable inside the class, but it should not be part of any other block. It should not be a part of any other block. So when I say blocks, it can be a method block or constructor block or an ordinary block. Method or a constructor or an ordinary block. Such variables are called as what? Such variables are called as instance variables, right? And sometimes, right, in some cases, for example, if you want to differentiate between the instance variables and the local variables, let me take a method for that. If I ask you, if I place a variable inside a method, right, you can use the same variable name. There are no issues if you use the same variable name, right? But the variable here, you call this variable as the local variable because it is part of the method. You call this variable as the instance variable because it is the part of the class. That is the only difference, right? When you place this variable outside the method but inside the class, it is called as what? Instance variable. But when it is part of the method, it becomes a local variable. So this variable is called as what? Local variable. Local variable. You might be thinking, sir, we have discussed all these things before, right? Now we will see few more things here. You will see few more. These are the basic things, and you are going to see few more things today. Okay, what are the few more things? What is the point that I can write? The first point that I can write here is instance variables. Okay. when a variable declared inside the class and it is not part of any other block, not part of any other blocks, is called as instance variables. We are not supposed to use the static keyword, the first thing. Okay, the second point is we will talk about the execution, right? So when you talk about the execution, now this will sound a little ridiculous. So now look at my statement. The instant variables are recognized and executed just before executing the respective class constructor or a given class constructor. Let me validate this point. Look at this point. The instance variables are recognized and executed just before executing the given class constructor. So let me write a small program to understand this better. So I want to write a program like, okay, I have a class B. So inside my class, I'm taking a variable A, which is going to store value 100, right? And I am also taking a constructor. Constructor name should be same as the class name. System.out.println. I just want to print something so that I will get to know the control is executing this constructor. Okay, I am saying B. The moment I start creating an object, obj equal to new B. Right? We know that answer. We know anyone can tell. Anyone with eyes can tell that the answer is going to be B code. But internally, so many things happen. So many things will happen, guys. So now let me execute this. First of all, I will execute this and I will trace this out. Okay. Command prompt. Let me change it directly. cd space java to java c space b dot java space. I'm sorry, java space b. We're getting beacon in the console, right? So apart from getting beacon in the console, okay, a few other things are happening in the memory level. We have to understand what are the things that is happening in the memory level so that I can give the complete justification to this line. The instance variables are recognized and executed just before executing the given class constructor. This point is very important. Just before executing the given class constructor. So let me take the paint screen. Okay. So in my paint screen, I'm going to copy and paste the same code. Right, let us start the execution directly. Okay, the execution will start from the main method, and this is the first line inside the main method, right? And if you look at this first line, right, so we are coming across a keyword called the new keyword, right? So for this new keyword, an object, a memory gets allocated in the heap area, and it is going to get a name which is called as what? Reference variable, which is obj, right? So now look at here. So here it is going to call the constructor, right? So the control will definitely call the constructor B constructor. Before calling this constructor, right, if there is any instance variable, let me repeat, before calling this constructor, if there is any instance variable, okay, there is one instance variable here. So this is the instance variable, right? This is the instance variable. That's variable. Before calling the constructor, now what is the point that I have given? What is the second point that I have given? The instance variables are recognized and executed just before executing the given class constructor. Okay, let me copy and paste the point here. Right, the JVM is about to execute the respective class constructor. Before doing this, it will ensure that the instance variables are recognized and executed. This is getting recognized and executed. You don't see these things in the console level, but this is going to happen. Okay, the recognition and the execution is going to happen in the memory level, right? So this variable is recognized at the memory level. So in the memory, it will ensure that the value 100 is getting assigned to the variable A. This point is called as what? The recognition and execution. This point is called as what? The recognition and execution. Right? In the memory level, these things will happen in the memory level. We don't see these things because you cannot just open the RAM and you cannot see these things, right? These are the memory level things. then the constructor gets executed. Okay, then the constructor gets executed. After executing this constructor in the console, you will get to see what? You will get to see beacon the console. Okay, so the point here is, so you can see two things here. First thing is, in the memory level, something is happening in the memory level. Okay, and something is happening in the console level. You cannot come to a conclusion that okay, only constructor is getting executed, but in the memory level these things are getting executed. Sir, if you want to understand this better, let me rewrite my program in a different way so that you will get the complete justification for this. How I want to write my program now? Now you see, let me take method one, m1. Okay, this looks very weird. Okay, don't worry about this. I am assigning the method one to the variable, okay? And below that I am trying to write the method, build the method by the name of m1, which is going to return integer. Okay? Now you see system.out.println. What I am trying to do, so to check whether my method is executing or not, m1 is executed. And you might be getting it out, sir, this is an instance variable, right? So what is this? So this is an instance variable. Okay, this is an instance variable. Okay, A is an instance variable. Okay, here I am not assigning the value directly, right? Instead of assigning the value, I am assigning the name of the method. So this thing, I am trying to assign the name of the method. So this is the name of the method. Name of the method. Not the value. I am not assigning the value directly. I am assigning the name of the method. Okay, what this is going to do is, the method m1 will be called, and the m1 is going to return a value. What? It is going to return a value. Okay, let me, for the time being, I just want to return the value like 100. Okay, so m1 method gets called internally, right? And this m1 is returning the value 100, and 100 will be stored later. Now what will happen if you see, let me execute this code once again. Okay. Java C space b dot Java, Java space b. We are getting m1 is executed and beacon. So what is the point here? What is the takeaway here? What is the takeaway? Now I can conclude that the instance, this is an instant variable, right? Instance variable. Okay, by this I can conclude that the first output in the console is what? M1 is executed, right? So this M1 method is getting called. So I can also say that instance variables are recognized and executed first before executing the respective class constructor. So this is the class constructor. Before that, this variable is getting executed. What is the proof? This program is the proof. If I place the value directly, you don't see that thing in the console level, isn't it? If I place 100, you don't even see that this is getting recognized and executed in the memory level. You don't see that. I mean, it is actually happening in the memory level, which you are not able to see in the console level. To see that, to feel that, I am calling a method here. So there is a constructor, there is an instance variable. Of course, there is also a method. Forget about this method. We are talking about discussion of start about instance variable, right? What did I just say? My question says instance variables are recognized and executed just before executing the given class constructor. Isn't it? What is a given class constructor? B constructor. Before executing the B constructor, if there is any instance variable, that will get recognized and executed. I will just trace this for you so that your confusion will be clear. Let me use this page. Let me separate the main method. So now we focus here. So directly the execution will start from the main method, right? So for the new keyword, a memory gets allocated. We know these things already, right? And the reference variable is going to be what? Reference variable is going to be obj. Obj is reference variable, right? And next thing is what? B constructor has to get called. So before calling the B constructor, right? If there is any instance variable, right? So there is one instance variable that will be recognized and executed. But if you see the variable, right, a is the variable, but what value it has to store? Okay, this value itself is a method call. This value itself is what? This value itself is a kind of method call, isn't it? M1 is getting called, right? M1 is getting called because it has to store, right? Memory level it has to store, and also you can feel that in the console also. Now in the output, when the M1 is called, okay, what you see in the console, this line will be executed. It shouldn't displayed in the console, right? M1 is executed, will be displayed in the console. M1 is executed. So this is the kind of feeling that you can understand, okay, the instance variables are recognized and executed before calling the constructor. After the execution of amend method, what it is returning? It is returning the value 100, okay, which will be assigned to the variable a. Okay, the variable a will have a value now which is 100. Right? After this, the constructor will be called. After this, b constructor will be called. Okay. The first call will be given for the instance variable. This is the first call. After the constructor will be called second. Right? Then the console, what you see, the next thing, what do you see actually? Bcon will be. Okay. So this execution is giving justification for this line. Don't you think so? Are you getting this, yes or no? What I'm trying to say? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Clear now? Now let us try to, okay, what I can do here, let me say, right. And also one more point is there. Note this point. What is an instance variable? If any variable changes its value, from one instance to another. From one instance to another instance, it is called as an instance variable. What does it really mean? One instance to another instance. What does it really mean? Right? Let me take a simple class to understand this. Okay, I want to make critical changes for my class. Let me remove this, not required. Okay, let me assign a value 100 initially. Right? After assigning the value initially, what I want to do, okay, I am doing something. I am doing some modification. obj.a equal to 200. Later I am doing something like obj.a equal to 300. Okay, later I am trying to do what? System dot out dot println obj dot. Okay. To execute this, okay, anyone with the eyes can say that the output is going to be. What is the output for to execute this? Anyone? Can anyone say what would be the output? Don't think much here. Very easy.
300.
Yes, 300 is output. 300 is output. Okay. Now let me give the justification for my theory. 300 is output. Okay. Now we know, okay, 300 is very straightforward, right? But when we are trying to understand this, I'm trying to giving the justification for this. Right? If any variable change its value from one instance to another, what does it really mean? Right? So let us try to debug this. Okay. Debug. And the control execution start from the main method, right? Object gets created. After the object creation, right, it is going to do what? Respective class constructor will be called, but before that, instance variables are recognized and executed, isn't it? So A is recognized and executed, value is 100 itself, right? Now focus here. After this, what you are doing? You are trying to manipulate the value of it. You're saying what? obj.a equal to what? obj.a equal to 200. Okay. The value is getting changed from one instance to another instance. 100 is becoming what? 100 is becoming 200. Right? Later, what is happening? You are again performing the manipulation on the same variable. obj.a equal to 300. Again, the latest value is going to be 300. The existing instance is getting changed from 200 to 300. Right? 300. Later, what you are printing, you are just trying to print the actual value, the latest value that is assigned to the variable a. What is the latest value? 300. 300 will be displayed in the console. Okay. Don't you think that the value is getting changed from one instance to another instance? This can happen only with what? Only with the instance variables. What is an instance variable? When you can give all the 3 lines, okay, but you need to give the justification. When a variable is declared inside the class, this is 1 point, and also second point is what? The instance variables are recognized executed just for execution. We know this. But the third point, if any variable changes its value from one instance, okay, each and every changes is called as is considered as an instance here. This is one instance, this is first instance, the second instance, and this is third instance. Right? Changing from one instance to another instance. That's why it is called as what? That's why it is called as instance variable. Right? Making sense? Third point is clear, I guess. Right? Now, I will help you with the small program. So before understanding the small program, I want to understand one more thing, one more point. The instance variables are stored in the heap area. What does it really mean? Okay, in JVM, when I talk about Java Virtual Machine, I'm talking about Java Virtual Machine. My Java, any Java Virtual Machine is going to have 3 areas. Okay, one is the heap area, and the second important area is what? The stack area. There is something like an area called the stack area. These are the memory areas. For now, just try to understand try to get acquainted with the words that I say. Heap area, stack area, and there is also called as what? There is also called as method area. Okay, this is the method area, and this is the stack area. Okay, this is what? This is the heap area. So instance variables are stored in an object, right? Instance variables are stored in an object. Instance variables are stored in an object which is part of what? Which is part of an heap area. So the objects are always created in the heap area, right? When you create an object, so that will be created in the heap area. Heap area is a memory area in the JVM. So this is the JVM, not the complete JVM. Okay, I have given a part of the JVM with respect to the memory. So in every heap area, objects gets created only in the heap area, right? And instance variables are stored in the object. So I can also say that they are part of the heap area. What is the stack area? Stack area will store the local variables, not instance variables. Local variables. When someone is asking where the local variables are stored in the JVM, local variables are part of what? Stack area. What about the method area? Method area is going to store what? Static variables. Right? Now repeat after me. Method area is going to store static variables. Right? When you declare any variable, the static keyword, that will be stored in the method area. It is a kind of memory in the JVM. Okay, JVM is going to take care of this. But you need to understand the storage areas, right? Method area for static variables, stack area for local variables, heap area for the instance variables, right? So this is going to give the instance variables are stored in the heap area, are stored in the object, which is it's stored in the heap area. Okay, so that's it. This is going to give the justification for if anyone is asking you what is an instance variable. So this is how you can give the mind-blowing answer to the what interviewer, right? And we will understand one more last program. Try to answer this with respect to instance variable. Okay, let's see who is going to answer this. I'm taking a constructor. Okay, inside my constructor, I'm going to have simple system dot out dot println statement. Statement, right? And this is going to print beacon something in the console, so that we'll get to know that this constructor is getting executed, isn't it? I'm taking let me give a method call to the variable, right? So I'm taking a method m1, okay, which is going to return 1000, right? System dot out dot println. Okay, system dot out dot println. Okay, I want to print a, right? Then system dot out dot println executed. Okay, over here system dot out dot println obj dot. Try to answer this if you can. I will give you 1 minute of time. Okay. I'm not giving you any question out of the box. We have just discussed about this. If you can try answering this. Let's see.
Error thing is.
You are saying error. Okay, someone is saying error. What about others?
Yeah.
What about others? Any idea? If you don't know, you can type don't know, whatever it is. I will be happy to trace. Anyone? Can I trace? At least say yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me execute this. Let's see. When I am not sure. The compilation is successful. Okay, this is about the compilation successful. Output you are getting 6. Now see this, guys. Focus here. If you understand this, but this one program, no one can beat you in with respect to the instance variables. You can give, perfect replay to the interviewer. See, now look at the answer. We're getting something like 0 executed, decon, and 1000. Right? Shall we trace this, everyone? Can I get yes from everyone from the chat box? I'm not understanding who is listening to my classes or who is not listening. Please type yes in the chat box. Everyone type yes in the chat box. Because I have literally seen one of my students who has placed a laptop on his stomach and is listening to the classes. Okay then. See, thank you everyone. Let us trace this. Okay, let me separate the main method from the current class for the better observation. See guys. Okay. So first call is what? Object creation, right? New keyword will ensure that an object is getting created, right? And it is going to have the reference variable obj. So we don't have any issues with this. After the constructor, after this constructor call. So what did I just say? Before calling the constructor, right? It will check is there any instance variable. Did I say or not? I said right. It will check is there any instance variable. Of course, there is an instance variable, right? There is an instance variable. Okay, this will wait. Okay, first it will execute the instance variable. It will not execute the constructor. It will execute the instance variable. First, after executing the instance variable, right? So when you see the instance variable, it has recognized the variable name as A. It has recognized the variable name as A. Now focus here. But there is no direct value. For the time being, it will keep the value as the default value. It will keep the value as the default value. 0. Okay, this is the first instance. First instance, the value is 0. After this, okay, there is a method called. There is an M1 method call. From here, the call is happening to M1 method call, right? So inside the M1 method call, you are printing what? System dot out dot println A. What is the latest value of A? What is the latest instance of A? 0, isn't it? If you take the console, okay, the value 0 will be printed first because the value is not yet assigned, right? 0 will be printed in the console. After this, what is the second line? Executed will be printed on the console. Okay, what is the next line? Next line is it is returning 1000. This 1000 will be assigned to the respective variable which is by the name of A. 1000 will be assigned to the variable A. So new instance is created. It is going to be 1000. The existing instance will be deleted. Now the latest value of a is what? 1000, right? So execution has completed. Then the control will be transferred back to the place where it was transferred previously. Next one is what? Constructor call is pending, isn't it? That constructor will be executed. The output is going to be what? Beacon. After executing the constructor, what is the next instruction that you have? System.out.println obj.a. What is the latest value inside obj? 1000. 1000 will be printed in the console. Now with this, can I confirm that you are able to understand that in the beginning the default values will be assigned always. First thing for the instance variable is default values will be assigned first, right? Then the instance variables are executed before executing the constructor, right? And then the instances will be changed depending upon the values that you are going to assign, right? It is answering all the questions, right? I used to think, right, why default values are getting assigned, why default values are getting assigned. This is the reason, because the constructor will execute only after executing instance variables. Okay, so there should be some value in the beginning. So beginning they are placing the value, the default value is being placed. Are you able to understand? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes.
Have you understood why we got 0 executed beacon, right? No, there will be no compilation. So now next thing is what? If you are answering like this, okay, if you answer these 4 points, then the job of instance variables are completely done. Your complete caliber will be tested on top of what? Instance variables and static variables. Okay, next one is what? Instance methods. Instance. It's very easy. They are instance methods are recognized and executed at the time of calling the method. Okay. Any method that is declared without using the static keyword. Keyword, they are called as instance method. Third point, if you are calling instance method from a static, this point is very important. If you are calling the instance method from a static method, okay, object creation is mandatory. If not, object creation is not mandatory. Very simple. Okay, I will give justification for these 3 points. Stay focused. Okay, let me remove this. Okay, not required. Not required. Any method which is not using the static keyword. Void method 1. Let me take the name of the method as m1. Okay, let me say system dot out of println m1. Okay, let me take another method. Name of the method is m2. System dot out dot println m2. Okay, let us keep the object creation just like this. Now try to understand this. Let me remove this. Okay. So if you declare any method without the static, I'm not using any static keyword here, right? If I use static keyword, it is going to be a static method. So not using static keyword, that is going to be an instance method. Right? You can declare instance method inside the class. So always, whatever the methods are, whatever the variables that you want to define, whatever the constructor that you want to write, everything has to be declared inside the class block. So this is the class block, right? If I ask you how many methods are there inside the class B, you should say, sir, there are 3 methods inside the class B. Okay? And again, if I ask you how many methods are instance method and how many methods are static methods, what would be your answer? You would say, sir, there are 2 instance methods, Okay, and there is one static method. This is a static method, right? If I want to call instance method, I said no, object creation is mandatory. I want to call instance method from the static method. Object creation is mandatory. This is mandatory because I am trying to call in. I cannot just call like this. Okay? I cannot simply call like this. M1. If I do so, I will, compiler will definitely scold us, isn't it? It's what it says. Non-static method cannot be referenced from a static context. Means you cannot call a non-static method or instance method from the static method. If you want to do so, if you want to call it, definitely the object creation is mandatory. After creating an object, I can call non-static methods or instance methods. If I call obj.m1, if I call obj.m2, definitely my output is going to be what? M1, M2. M1, M2. But I can also call non-static method from the non-static method. I can call an instance method from another instance method. Sir, how is it possible? How is it possible? Let me see, let me say something like this. M2. Okay, let me run this. Okay, so I just want to call M1, right? I just want to call M1. If I call obj.m1, it is like I am calling the instance method from static method. For this, object creation is mandatory. But this instance method is calling internally another instance method. For this, object creation is not mandatory. So let me run this code. Can you guess the output, anyone? Anyone can you guess the output? What?
M2.
Only M2.
M2.
Any other answers?
M1, M2.
M1, M2. Good. M1, M2. See, my explanation is with respect to the statement that you have just given. Okay, what is this? What is the point that I'm making here? My point is very simple. Just differentiate, okay? So these two methods are the instance method. This is an instance method. This is another instance method, okay? Let me mark it as I. Let me mark it as I. Okay? This method is the static method. This method is the static method. Let me call it, mark it as yes. Okay? What I'm trying to do, I want to call the instance. M1 is what? M1 is the instance method, right? If I want to call instance method from the static method, the static method. From this, I am making a call. From this, I am making a call to a method which is called as an instance method. For this, an object creation is mandatory. That's my point here. Object creation is I created an object. After creating an object, with that reference, I can call. Object creation is completely mandatory, right? So what would happen? M1 is getting called, right? So control will be transferred here, isn't it? Okay, and it is going to execute the remaining statements, isn't it? From here, it is going to execute this simple system.out M1 gets printed in the console, isn't it? M1 will be getting printed in the console. Okay, after this, internally, I am calling an M2 method. And if you see, M2 method is an instance method which is being called from an instance method itself, right? M2 method is an instance method. From where it is being called? It is being called from another instance method, no problem. For that, object creation is not mandatory, right? Only when you again the control will be transferred to the M2 method, and the remaining statement is what M2 will be displayed at the console. Right? Method calls, very simple. Method calls, isn't it? M1, M2. The control will be transmitted back to the place where it was actually sent. So this is giving the justification to this point, which I have just made. If you're calling an instance method from a static method, object creation is mandatory. If not, object creation is not. Right? So all these points are validated to the place. So this is all about instance method. They should not break your head to understand the instance method. The next thing is, what are the remaining things? Instance block. Okay? When you understand these two, instance blocks are going to be very easy. Okay? What is the instance block says? Okay? What is the syntax for the instance block? Any block is any block without any name. A block without any name. Is a block. You have a block without any name. You declare this block inside the class, not inside the method. Inside the class, outside the method. Okay. Please be informed that you declare any block inside the class and outside the method is called as what? Outside the methods or constructors is called as instance block. Is a block without any name. Okay, this is an instance block. Syntax, very simple. No? Instance block. First point is very clear. Okay, what is the second point? They are recognized and executed recognized and executed before executing the constructors. It is just like instance variables. We'll see the priority. Okay, we'll see the priority before executing the given class constructors. Given class constructors, right? It is as powerful as Java constructor. Okay? It is as powerful as Java constructors. Okay, can store static variables as well as non-static. That's it. Okay, let us see one program to understand this better. So, right. Okay, let me remove this not required. I want to remove this as well, not required. I want to remove this as well. Not. What did I just say? Instance block. A block without name is called as instance block. Let me keep a simple statement: system.out.println. Okay, I want to do what? I want to give the name like instance. When it is going to get executed? Before executing the constructor. Let me keep the constructor for the time being. Okay, let me say pcon. Now, if you see, now tell me, guys, if I run this code, what would be the output? Can someone tell me? Think better and tell me.
Instant block.
Think better and tell me again. What is my theory? Instance block, they are recognized and executed before executing the given class constructor. Okay. Is there any chance for the constructor to get executed here? No chance, isn't it? Are you getting my point? Blank output is blank. Why blank? There is no constructor call. Only if you make constructor call, right? Only if you have the constructor call, okay, before executing this constructor, then instance block will be executed. Are you getting my point, Balaji? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Now it will be executed. Now what would be the output? First instance block will be recognized. Okay, then the constructor will be executed. But don't you think that it is same? The behavior is same, like it's very much similar to the behavior of instance variables. Right? Let me also create one instance variable here. Okay, I want to keep the instance variable in the top so that we will get to know the priority. Okay, I'm taking the method m1. Right? And let me take the method m1. Okay, and this is going to return what? System.out.println m1. I mean, that's to print system.out.println, and this want to return 100. Okay, now I have what? An instance block is there, an instance variable is there, right? Which is not going to store a value, it is storing, it is storing a value after the method call. And I have a constructor. Right? First, which thing will executed, which thing will, we will see the order now. Okay, Java C space b.java. Okay, M1 is getting executed, instance block is getting executed, beacon is getting executed. But my conclusion is my justification is very clear. Before executing constructor, okay, if there is any instance variable that is getting recognized and executed, from top to bottom order, the execution is happening. I have placed a variable here. Okay, let me do the opposite. Let's see which is one is getting priority. Okay. Can we control the priority? We will understand that. Will we really, can we guess the priority? See, instance block M1 method. I mean, not M1. M1 means variable, instance variable. We're getting this. First one is instance block is there in the class, so it is getting recognized and executed. Next is the checking for instance variable M1, right? M1 call is happening. But simply I am placing the M1 method so that we will understand that whether this is recognized and getting executed or not. That's the idea here. To feel that execution, right? And third one is what? Third one is beacon is getting executed. Now you tell me the order. So you tell me instance block. Let me give like 1. Okay, let me say 3. Let me say 2. Let me say. Can someone tell me? Try to do what? Try to find the instance context, like how many blocks are there. Is there any constructor? Right? There is of course there is a constructor. Before executing this constructor, if there are any instance variables and blocks, that will be executed from top to bottom order. Okay, what is the first thing? This is an instance block. It has to get executed. What is the second thing? Okay, firstly, one will be executed. One will be displayed in the console. Second thing is what? Okay, 3 has to get displayed in the console. Okay, method call is happening, right? So you are printing 3. To feel this, you are printing 3. Third thing is what? 2 has to get executed in the console. Fourth thing is what? 4 has to get executed. 1, 3, 2, 4. We getting the same thing? Making sense? 1, 3, 2, 4. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So you should answer, okay? Let me give you one more tricky question and see if you are going to answer this or not. Okay. Okay. Any answer?
0.
I
1.
mean, order.
1, 3, 0, 2, 4.
Better.
1, 0, 3, 2, 4.
1, 0, 3, 2, 4. Good, good, good. 1, 0, 3, 2, 4. I mean, good try, good try. But before this has to get printed, isn't it? The value 0 has to get printed. Right? Now you got to know the priority. Priority is from top to bottom order. And if anyone is asking you which are get recognized before executing the constructor according to the instance context, okay, what would be your answer? Your answer should be what? The execution depends upon the actual declaration. If the instant variable is there, will be executed first, and if the instant blocks are there, that will be executed first from top to bottom order. Whichever is getting recognized and executed, I mean the recognition will happen from top to bottom order. For both instance variables and for instance blocks, this is the common statement. They are recognized and executed before executing the given class constructor. As simple as this. And also, what is this? You can store instance static variables as well as non-static variables. What does it really mean? Okay, let me remove all this. Not required. Static integer a equal to 100, integer b equal to 200. According to my explanation, okay, this is what it means, isn't it? Static integer a equal to 100. it can store only non-static variables, because static variables, it is not storing the static variables, because I have just given a try here, it's not happening. So instance blocks are can store the non-static variable. It says illegal start of expression static integer a equal to 100. I have studied somewhere that it is going to store. Okay, no issues. Okay, and it is not you're not going to use these blocks anywhere in the code. It was used in legacy applications, right? And I can rewrite my theory. Can store only non-static variables. With respect to instant block, I'm saying it can store only non-static variables. So let me give try once again. Feature e equal to 200. Yeah, it is not happening, guys. Huh? Can store only non-static variables. So these points are more than enough, right? If you're answering these points, they won't ask any other questions, because this is where they check your Java caliber. Okay, with the instance constructs means there are three types: instance variables, and these 4 points are more than enough. Instance method, these 3 points are more than enough, okay? And instance block, okay, these points are more than enough. So by this I can conclude that we have successfully completed the topic of what instance variables. And tomorrow class, we need to complete something like, what is this tomorrow's according to the syllabus? Static context, not static context. This keyword, with this keyword, this is also very interesting. Okay, you will be coming across this keyword itself many times in the project. I will give you the better picture about this keyword. You don't see that in the books also, right? Tomorrow we'll see about this keyword. It is very interesting. Don't miss tomorrow's class. That's all from my side for the today's class. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or else we can